Blue Jays fans, and welcome to Sunny Side of the Dome. I'm your host, Karen Soutar, and I'm here to talk some Blue Jays baseball with you for the next half an hour or so. Sunny Side of the Dome is brought to you by Jays from the Couch. We stream live Thursdays at 6 p.m., and you can catch us on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. We stream and you can follow along live. And if you're doing so, if you think of a question or comment that you want to make, please do send it on in. I love that interaction with the audience. I think it makes the show just that much better. And if you're not catching the live version but still want to check it out, then great. When you're ready for us, we're ready for you. So you can catch the archive version on those same mediums, so Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and you can also download and listen as an audio podcast. So basically, any quality podcast carrier has all the Jays from the Couch shows. Speaking of which, there's lots more content from Jays from the Couch, and I hope you've been checking that out as well. There's the main podcast, which is Monday evenings, hosted by Shaun Doyle, a senior editor, founder of Jays from the Couch, who's always got lots of interesting stuff for the audience. And then there's the other show, the On-Fec Circle, hosted by my very smart, unique, funny colleague, Steve Feck. So that's Tuesdays at 6 p.m. And you never quite know what's going to be coming from Steve on any given day, but he entertains, he informs, he's definitely one of a kind. And so check him out if you haven't been doing so. So, happy Thursday evening, Blue Jay fans. It's been a while. I've been on a little bit of a hiatus. It was kind of unplanned, nothing earth-shattering, just had a couple of personal situations arise. It's all been resolved now, but just needed to take a little bit of time. But I'm back, and it's been 3 weeks, actually, since my last Sunny Side of the Dome. So lots is going on, lots to talk about. Before I get into my Blue Jays talk, I want to make a small public service announcement. At least that's how I see it, and don't really know how it'll be received. But those of you who tune into my show on a regular basis, if you caught the last episode, you might recall that there was a period of time when I was on the air and I was struggling a bit with a cough. I don't know if you noticed, or when I do that, I have to say, honestly, I'm just mortified because I really want this show to be quality, and I know that presentation matters, and it's not fun to listen to somebody with an uncontrollable cough. So interesting thing happened while that was in progress. My very smart husband, Ron, he heard me coughing, and he poured a glass of ginger ale and put it just off to the side, out of sight of the camera. And I saw that and I thought, okay, he must think that that's something that can help me. And he's a pretty smart guy, so you know what have I got to lose? I might as well try it. I had a mouthful of the ginger ale and the cough disappeared. So I learned something that day, something that I never knew before. I'm certainly not a doctor. I'm not suggesting that ginger ale is a cure-all for any and all coughs. Maybe it applies best to a dry cough that I've had for I don't know how long that just doesn't want to go away. But anyway, I don't know if I'm the only person that didn't know this, if this is common knowledge, or if there's anybody out there who might actually find this to be useful information. Not at all something I ever would have dreamed of, but if you ever have a cough that you want to get rid of and it's not going anywhere and you have access to some ginger ale, give it a try, because it worked for me a few weeks ago. And so going forward, when I do my shows, I'm having some ginger ale. Yeah, I can't really see it there. There we go. Yeah, I'm having some ginger ale handy just in case I need it again. All right, enough about that. On to our topic, our main topic, which is always the case, the Toronto Blue Jays. Leading off, as always, transactions. And in the last few weeks, there have definitely been transactions. So, fair bit to talk about there. The Blue Jays made a trade with the Pittsburgh Pirates. So they traded infielder, minor league infielder Vinny Capra to the Pirates in exchange for catcher Tyler Heineman. So Vinny Capra, you may recall, he actually spent some time with the Jays in 2022. He was on the roster. He got into 8 games. He had an OPS of 629. Again, it's such a small sample size that by itself doesn't at all say what he might or might not be able to do in Major League Baseball if he ever gets a long enough look to really have a chance. And he's spent 5 years in minor league baseball with an OPS of 736, so certainly not bad. But I mean, if that's what you're hitting in the minors, chances are those numbers are going to go down once you're playing in the majors. It's just a question of by how much. All the best to Vinny Capra. I hope he can find some success in the Pirates organization. I mean, he played some different positions, so he spent the most time playing at shortstop, also at third base, second base. I think in his case, he was really too far down in the depth charts. I mean, you've got your major league players, and then even ahead of him in the depth chart as far as your minors, you've got probably Otto Lopez and Addison Barger have both probably surpassed him in the depth chart. So he's gone to another organization. Hope he gets a good chance with the Pirates and hope he can make something of it. Excuse me a moment. Okay, so that's who they traded away. They reacquired actually catcher Tyler Heineman. This is his second stint with the Toronto Blue Jays organization. Again, you might recall he was also with the Jays last season until they let him go to the Pittsburgh Pirates. So Heineman got into Heineman got into a number of games, 10 games with the Blue Jays last season, had an OPS of 531, so he isn't going to light anybody up in terms of his hitting ability at the major leagues. One thing that Heineman does provide is some depth at the catching position. So not long before this transaction, one of the Jays catchers at AAA, Steve Berman, actually went on the 7-day injured list. So they've got Rob Brantley, but obviously he can't catch every single game that the Buffalo Bisons play. They need somebody down there. So Tyler Heineman has options. Once he was acquired, the Blue Jays sent him down to AAA. So that's where he's been playing. I think the thing with Heineman, or one of the things anyway, again, is that he is a player with options. So knock on wood, I mean, the Blue Jays have Danny Jansen and Alejandro Kirk, and I think they're both so important to the organization for the different things that they bring to the table. Hope that they all stay healthy. But if something happens and they need another catcher in the major leagues, Heineman is somebody that they can call up. And then when the first string catcher is ready to be activated, that he can be sent back down, and you don't have to risk your organizational depth that way. So seems to me like from the Blue Jays point of view, that's probably the main reason for reacquiring Tyler Heineman. So then to do that, he had to go back onto the 40-man roster. And so the Jays had to take someone off of the 40-man roster. Vinny Capra was not on the 40-man roster. He was previously removed from it. So Jordan Luplow, he's been outrighted off of the 40-man roster and is still in the organization playing at AAA Buffalo. So that's that transaction there. Some other things happening in terms of the pitching. So Zach Pop, unfortunately, has gone on the injured list with a right hamstring strain. I still really believe in Zach Pop. I believe in his talent. He had a terrific season last season, started off this season like a house on fire, as they say. And then his last few outings before going on the injured list, he kind of struggled. So hopefully some time off. In addition to dealing with the hamstring, I hope he can regroup and figure out whatever it is that's preventing him from pitching up to his potential, because I think the Jays could really have something in Zach Pop. So all the best to him. I understand he's still a little bit of a ways away from coming back, but we'll see how that goes. Keep an eye on it. So when he went on the injured list, it opened up a roster spot for a pitcher, and the Blue Jays recalled a relief pitcher, Jay Jackson. So, interesting story. As you may recall, he was with the team through spring training, had a really good spring training, and then he was released because there was a clause in his contract that said that if he wasn't added to the major league roster by a certain date, that he could ask for his release, or whatever it is, technically speaking. In any case, they had to release him, so they did. And then 4 days later, he signed back on with the organization. So apparently there were other organizations that were interested. He said that he wanted to be with the Blue Jays. He wants a chance to win. I always love it when a player says that. I chose the Jays because I want a chance to win. Music to this Blue Jay fan's ears. So, yes, Jay Jackson, he was up. Spent a bit of time here. He got into 3 games, three games, 3 innings pitched, 1 earned run given up, as we know, a couple days ago, solo home run to none other than Aaron Judge. And after the fact, a day or two afterward, apparently Jay Jackson said that he now believes that he was tipping his pitches. I'm sure that it's a difficult thing to do for pitchers, to hide their signs and all of that, and try to make sure they're not giving anything away. I just I wish they could somehow figure this out before something like that happens. I don't know. In any case, so he was sent back down. At that point, he had pitched 2 days in a row. I don't know if the Jays just wanted a fresh arm or what, but they've recalled pitcher Thomas Hatch, who has yet to get into a game. Thomas Hatch, he has a 4.91 ERA at AAA. So I'm sorry to say, I am not all that excited about him getting into a game anytime soon, unless the score is really, really lopsided. And even then, if it's lopsided in the Jays' favor, I don't know. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. So yes, Pop on the IL, Jackson up, Jackson down, and Thomas Hatch brought back up. What else is going on? A couple of rehab assignments, actually. So Mitch White, he was actually sent on a rehab assignment to Single A back on April the 26th. And then on May the 1st, he was moved up to AAA. Mitch White, when the trade was announced, and I really didn't know that much about him, but I looked up his stats, and honestly, he had some pretty decent numbers with the LA Dodgers. And I was hopeful that, you know what, maybe we didn't just acquire a staff ace, but maybe this is somebody that can help the Blue Jays, even if it's in a back of the rotation role. He unfortunately last year with the Jays, he did anything but help. And as I say, it's really unfortunate. And then there's all kinds of possible reasons behind that. He was getting used to a new team, a new country, being traded away from the only MLB organization he'd ever known. I mean, just everything about it was different. Unfortunately, the defense behind him at times last year wasn't all that stellar, and who knows, all kinds of reasons as to why Mitch White might be better this season. So far, it hasn't happened. He's been injured, really didn't even pitch in spring training. He's been on a rehab assignments. Excuse me. He has gotten in to 5 games between single A and triple A with an earned run average, excuse me, in minor league baseball of 6.88. I don't think I want to see him anywhere near the Toronto Blue Jays major league team anytime soon. Not until he can sort out what the heck is going on with him, and if there's a way that he can actually help the Toronto Blue Jays win games, because they are most definitely a win now team. May the 11th, Adam Simber was also sent on a rehab assignment, and he got into all of 2 games and pitched 1.2 innings, didn't give up any runs, and he is now back in Toronto. Excuse me a second. So yes, Adam Simber is apparently back in Toronto now. He hasn't been activated by the Blue Jays as of yet, but apparently he could be as early as Toronto, or as early as Toronto, as early as tomorrow in Toronto. That's potentially some good news there, even though he kind of struggled prior to the IL stint, but you know what, maybe the injury was contributing to his struggles. Hopefully the time off has allowed him to heal and get back to the good pitcher that he was over the last couple of seasons. And it'll be interesting to see if he is activated, who goes the other way, what kind of transaction move they make. Going back to Mitch White, apparently he experienced some fatigue after his last outing, which was yesterday, and he is going to be seen by doctors. And I guess he is also up here in Toronto, and he's going to be seen by doctors. So I don't know, man, maybe there's something lingering going on with his health, and maybe that's part of the reason for his struggles. I certainly wish Mitch White all of the best. I say I'm just really nervous about him being anywhere near the Toronto Blue Jays major league team right now, because it's not looking like he's currently able to help them win very much. So we'll see. I mean, if there's something going on with his health and he needs to be shut back down, then so be it. If he hasn't re-injured himself, then there's actually a maximum 30 days for pitchers who are on a rehab assignment. And since his started back on April the 28th, that's coming up fairly soon, in a little bit over a week. And Mitch White is someone who doesn't have options. So if he's not injured, re-injured, then the Toronto Blue Jays are going to have a decision to make. They'll either have to activate him with a major league club or DFA him and risk losing him for nothing to another team. Either that, or they could flat out release him, but I don't see doing that. Or I wonder if there's another team out there that might be interested in trading for Mitch White. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. Excuse me. All right. So, lots of transactions. Now, finally, into the heart of tonight's order. So, looking at the season, yes, in the last 3 weeks, since April the 28th, it has actually been, it's been a real roller coaster ride, for one thing. I mean, the Blue Jays either look great or terrible without a lot of in between, as far as their results and as far as how they're achieving things, to be very honest. So since April the 28th, I almost wanted to rename them the Weekenders, because they have, in those last 3 weeks, they have gone 8-1 in games played on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and 1 and 8 in games played Monday through Thursday. So what the heck is all that about? I wish I had an answer. Got to be a coincidence, but it's a weird one. Um, so yes, and over a period of time there, it's the Blue Jays. They were either sweeping the opposition or getting swept by the opposition. And again, you're talking about the extremes in highs versus lows. So they actually did well. They swept the Chicago White Sox. That was prior to the 28th, and then started a series with the Seattle Mariners. Went 2-1. Unfortunately, they couldn't complete that sweep on the Sunday. Go into Boston, get swept in 4 games. Go from there to Pittsburgh and sweep the Pirates in 3 games. Short 2-game series in Philadelphia from there, and they lose both of those games. Then they come home. They played Atlanta this past weekend. And in spite of trying their hardest to lose the Sunday game, they did manage to win all 3. They looked really good in the Friday and the Saturday game. Sunday, I don't know what the heck what they were doing, and I don't think they do either. But in any case, they managed to get a win. Sometimes you win ugly, as they say. So, and now this series versus the New York Yankees will not be a sweep because the Yankees won the first 2 games. Blue Jays finally won yesterday, and we're all hoping that they complete a split today. So, fingers crossed. Let's hope we see the good Jose Barrios. Major League Baseball is a 162-game season. We all know this. If you're a fan of the game, you know that's the way that it is. And there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be highs and lows. It's like they say there's all these baseball adages that you aren't as good as you are when you look good and are winning, and you're not as bad as you are when you look really bad and you're losing. And in most cases, that really is true. It's probably best as baseball fans if we try not to get too high with the highs and too low with the lows. And that's the rational part of me talking there. I'm human. I'm not perfect. I'm not going to sit here and try to claim to you that I've never gotten caught up in the emotion of the Blue Jays, good or bad, because I have. There are times when it affects me. I mean, I bleed Blue Jade blue, as I say. I'm passionate about the Jays. They're in my blood. After my husband and our cats, that's probably the thing that I love the most in life is the Toronto Blue Jays. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but it's a fact. So it can be hard to try to keep it in stride, good or bad. But I really think if we don't want to drive ourselves crazy, that's probably the best way to try to approach it. Enjoy the losses. Enjoy the losses. What am I talking about? Try that again. Enjoy the wins and understand the losses, and I'm not saying be happy about the losses, but keep it all in perspective. Look at the team. Try to look objectively at who they are, the good and the bad, and how far do we think they're going to go this season. And honestly, I think we're looking at a really good season, a special season. Excuse me. So yeah, I don't even think that this team, I don't think we've seen the best of them. They haven't been firing on all cylinders as of yet. We've got parts of the team that are doing well, while other parts are struggling. And then you see the reverse. So early in the season, the offense was bailing out the starting pitching, who was digging them into holes a lot of the time. And then lately, it's been the reverse, that the starting pitching is really keeping them in it. And I don't know how many times I've posted on Twitter, Blue Jays, can you score some bleeping runs already? That yes, the frustration is there when they don't do what they think that they can and should be able to. But I I think that we've got the makings of something really, really special here. So we've got a team that's 25-18. That's good for the sixth best record in all of Major League Baseball, fourth best in the American League. And I think they're on their way up. I think I get, as I say, we haven't seen the best of them yet, and lots to look forward to. So, on on that note, it's getting a little late in the show, and we're almost out of time. So that brings me to Through Blue Jay Colored Glasses. So we're revisiting a bit to a few weeks ago and some of the things that I said. I said that I believe that at the end of the regular season, we're going to see our Toronto Blue Jays as a first place team in the American League East. Well, I still believe that. I said we've seen some flashes of how good they can be. I don't think we've seen the best that they can be and are going to be. So I talked a bit last time about the Tampa Bay Rays and their absolutely insane record, and the fact that starting on May the 2nd, that that they were actually facing some tougher teams, and that they had done a lot of their ridiculous win-loss record came against some very subpar teams. And when the Rays actually play a team that's pretty good, such as the Toronto Blue Jays, such as the Houston Astros, so far they've lost both of those series. So from May the 2nd, for about 5 weeks from that point, they've had nothing, have nothing, and have had nothing but other good teams that they have to face. So let's take a look back at that and see how they're doing. The Tampa Bay Rays in their last 19 games are 11-8. All of a sudden, they don't look so completely untouchable, unreachable, because that's just a little bit over 500 there. It is possible to beat the Tampa Bay Rays. They've lost a couple of series also since then. One, they just completed the series loss today against the New York Mets. Also lost a series against the second place Baltimore Orioles. And it's nobody's saying that they're not a good team, but it is possible to beat these guys. And I think that when it's all said and done, they'll probably be a wild card team. I think the Blue Jays are going to win that division. And we're looking at a special season. Enjoy it. Enjoy everything that it is. Kevin Kiermaier, oh my goodness, who is this guy? I can't believe that the Blue Jays, they've just caught lightning in a bottle with him. That his defense is pretty much as phenomenal as it ever was in center field. His hitting, who is this guy? I mean, he's way better than anything he's ever done before in the major leagues. And this is a 10-year MLB veteran coming into this season. So it really didn't look like there could be any upside left in that bat, but he seems to have found something. We've got some guys who got off to slow starts with the bat that are starting to come around a bit. Brandon Belt, George Springer a little bit. And then there's some other guys that I'm pretty sure are going to rebound to something like what we've seen before, such as Alejandro Kirk, Bichette and Guerrero. Well, they've been Bichette and Guerrero. They've been hitting very well all season, and I think they're going to continue to do so. Guerrero's been out for a couple of days. He had an MRI, which, thank goodness, showed no structural damage. So he's apparently feeling much better, and he could even be available to pinch hit today. Let's hope they don't need it. Let's hope they can take care of business against Nestor Cortez themselves without needing him to come off. Just give him another day to rest and come back hopefully on the weekend against Baltimore. But yeah, I believe in this team. I think they've got something really special here, and I'm looking forward to the season, watching it unfold, seeing it all play out, and hopefully see some wins come in October. I think we will. And on that note, that's all I've got for you this evening. Thanks so much for tuning in. Let's go Blue Jays, and I'll see you again in another week.